Reminder, I do have a Patreon and Subscribe star, and if you join today, you get access to all kinds of goodies, including exclusive videos that I make every month. This month is going to be about the darkest webcomic I've ever read, Clarissa. If you want to check that out, go ahead and hit up either link. And of course, now let's get on with the video. What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. It's that time again. It's time to talk about the indie scene. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard about Meat Canyon, or Hunter Hancock, as he is known. You see, Papa Meat is infamous for his hyper-grotesque cartoon parodies that he's made. I mean, who here hasn't seen such classics like Wabbit Season, which was taken down because it was so bad? Warner Brothers did not want that up. And of course, one of my personal favorites, Jawbreaker, and my absolute favorite, which is the Lightning McQueen one. That one is really cool. I think that's by far his best one.
It was as if I'd never spoken a single word in my life. I couldn't conjure a single sentence to say to him.
But believe it or not, I'm not actually here to talk about Meat Canyon's parodies. I'm actually here to talk about his original cartoon that he has made, because he has made one. It is called Monster Lab. And you know me, if there's one thing I really love to do, is to encourage people making their own original products. And so now we have here a cartoon made by Meat Canyon, which is every bit as insane and grotesque as his parodies. So without further ado, let's go ahead and buckle into our favorite house that we rented after our master died. Let's go ahead and Frankenstein a bunch of monsters together in order to do menial tasks that invariably go horribly wrong. Let's go ahead and speak in a deep and yet oddly sultry ASMR voice. And smash the like button, and let's go ahead and dive into Monster Lab. So, as usual, let's talk about the speed paints. We have here the two main characters of Monster Lab, that being Katz and Uno. So Katz was the assistant of a mad scientist who died, and Uno is, I believe, the first creation that Katz ever made. The shtick of Monster Lab is that Katz is a very lazy individual, and he invents all kinds of weird, bizarre monsters that accomplish very specific things. But Katz wants to turn a new leaf, right? He wants to be a good person, so he's trying his darndest to break his lazy cycle and try to make monsters for the greater good. Unfortunately for him, that almost never happens. So anyway, we have here the main characters in kind of like one of those mock couples photos that you see. I thought it was kind of funny. It kind of feels like something that old Papa Meat would make himself. So I kind of wanted to honor his bizarre sense of humor by making this picture. This picture, kind of a special note, usually you'll see a lot of my art being made in the 16:9 format. I mostly do that out of convenience because I film in 16:9 and it just fits the screen better. I have broken that in the past in order for a picture to kind of fit better, especially if the picture is like more portrait as opposed to landscape. But in this case, even though this is more of a landscape-ish portrait, I mean, you see that I start off in portrait, but I eventually go to landscape. It still didn't fit in 16:9, so I put it in 4:5, and I put it in 4:5 because that fits with Instagram, and I do post on Instagram. You can check my links. I'll leave them up on the screen at the end of this video. But anyway, yes, that is the story of today's speed paint. Meat Canyon. How did I first stumble upon Meat Canyon? Well, let's be real here. It's probably the same way all of you did. You have that one friend who was like, "Hey, dude, check this out, man." I'm just like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And they show you a weird, creepy video, and you're like, "What the F is this nonsense?" And of course, you look further into it and realize that whoever made this made a lot more, and each one is equally, if not more, disturbing than the last. And that is how I discovered Meat Canyon. I'm trying to think of the first Meat Canyon cartoon I ever saw. It was either the Ed, Edd n Eddy Jawbreaker one or the Magic School Bus one. Both were shown to me by my friend, and both were pretty darn disturbing. The Jawbreaker one much more so because it's much more like true horror, whereas the Magic School Bus is kind of just like your usual gross out, grotesque kind of stuff. Point is that I eventually discovered Meat Canyon and started paying attention to his work. Now, I am no stranger to shock content, right? I'm a millennial, okay? I grew up on the 2000s era internet where it was still the Wild West, okay? I've seen some things, man. I have seen some things. You cannot surprise me at this point. That being said, shock content it tends to have this problem of it all being the same. So, you know, when you first see Meat Canyon, you kind of think like, okay, here's another guy who does grotesque stuff. You know, we've seen this before. This is Newgrounds tier, right? However, Meat Canyon has this X factor, all right? Papa Meat has this X factor to the stuff that he makes. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but it really does stand out beyond the other shock content. I think a big part of it has to do with the fact that he's a really, really good animator. Like, yes, everything is grotesque and whatnot, but a lot of other shock gross content is very like amateurishly animated and drawn, whereas Meat Canyon is like high polish, really well done. And the second thing he does is that bit I was doing in the like button with that creepy, sultry ASMR voice. He does it in such a way that is just skin-crawlingly good. And I think that creepy voice acting on top of the really well-made grotesque factor of it is what really sells it. But again, this is all praise on his parody works. But I did want to mention all of that because all of that same stuff, that really smooth animation, the really creepy voices, it all flows right into Monster Lab. And it's really great seeing that, seeing this talent that he has, and you know, of course, the fame that he has accrued making these parody videos. Now that he's amassed an audience and has honed his craft, he is now putting it toward original work. And I really, really like it when people do that, because a lot of the times when I see people make fan work, really, really good fan work, a part of me says like, man, I want to see this person apply the same level of dedication and love into their original stuff. The problem is that a lot of times you don't keep the same audience that you initially attracted when you make stuff that's lampooning it. To take me, for example, I'm a much, much, much smaller YouTuber than Meat Canyon. He has like 3 million, and I only have a measly 300 subscribers in comparison. However, when I look at my analytics, when I look at my video numbers, it is very obvious that the most popular videos that I make is based on already popular stuff. I think one of my biggest videos, right as of right now, is my avatar video where I make up a new avatar, a video where I'm talking about Max G, and I think the third one is Drawing with Boris, which is a series I probably should get back to. But I drew Katra from the new She-Ra, right? The She-Ra reboot. All of that stuff is other existing stuff. You notice, for you longtime viewers, every other week for a good long time now, I have been doing a series called Valicia Cosplays, where I take my original character, Donut Steel, right, Valicia from a cartoon that I'm trying to make, Schneevel, and I'm cosplaying her. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to garner attention, because I know that nobody gives a rip about Schneevel until I make a really well-made cartoon and it gains traction and gains followers. So Meat Canyon, as every creator does take a bit of a risk when they start venturing into their own IP. But I'm happy to say that thanks to the fact that Meat Canyon has millions of subscribers, Monster Lab seems to be doing pretty good, you know? And I'm happy for it. It's a pretty funny cartoon. It's got some really crazy stuff, like for example, the antagonist of Monster Lab is this police sergeant who is being haunted and egged on by the ghost of Chris Kyle, and yes, that Chris Kyle, American Sniper Chris Kyle, into you know, killing the main characters because they're like a plague on this land and they're evil that must be vanquished. And of course, that's a really racy thing, you know, talking about a person like Chris Kyle. But if you look into the actual history of Chris Kyle, you see things that are also kind of questionable. So it's like, spicy. Right? But you know what? You got to take risks like that, right? And Meat Canyon is known for being very risque in his imagery, so it only makes sense that in his own cartoon he's going to push that same envelope. And of course, if you watch the cartoon, it is very grotesque. There's very gory moments. Like, the standout moment is the Tooth Fairy episode, which I think is episode 2. This is one of those cartoons where I can't recommend it to absolutely everyone because it is very like Ren and Stimpy level grotesque, and not everyone is into that. But, you know, like I said, as someone who's made of sterner stuff, who has seen things on the internet, this does not faze me at all. And it's very amusing in a train wreck sort of way. So now comes the point where I like to address the creator of this indie project. And I always like doing this because when it comes to indie projects, it's a lot easier to talk directly to them than it would be an establishment project, because those people don't ever scour the internet. So, Meat Canyon, Papa Meat, if you are watching this video, I'm really glad that you are taking your very specific niche talent and making very grotesque things and turning it into an original work. I like seeing it succeed because, you know, it's something I wish to do myself. Whenever you go from parodies to original work, there's always a drop-off, but, you know, you have millions of subscribers, so I'm sure your numbers are doing just fine, and the product that you're putting out is just amazing. I mean, I've seen your Kickstarter, I've seen the amount of money you're raising, so you clearly have a really dedicated audience that's willing to see this through, and, you know, more power to you for that. I greatly look forward to how you're going to leverage your unique talent in making things really horrifying, and making Monster Lab something that is equally as horrifying. So keep going. I hope that season is going well for you. I've seen the timeline on your Kickstarter. I mean, you're really cranking these things out quick. So, you know, don't kill yourself, you know, but keep on trucking. And I'm glad that you found a really good use for your niche. So with all that said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today. So you people know what to do here. If you like what you see and you want to see more, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons. Go ahead and comment down below, and of course share the video, because it's good for the algorithm and it's good for your teeth, you know, especially when you got tooth fairies going out there ripping them out of your mouth. But definitely leave a comment if you've seen Meat Canyon stuff before, if you are into that like hyper grotesque stuff, or if you're like off-put by it, or, you know, just let me know. And of course, this is a reminder that I do have a Patreon and subscribe star that you can hit up, and I have my own exclusive video where I talk about another grotesque work for an entirely different reason, though. So hit that up if you want to hear my thoughts on that. And of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the interbuts, go ahead and hit up my links here up on the screen that I put up. And of course, pay special attention to minds.com, because it is the new alternative website that I like using that's, you know, fighting the good fight against the establishment. And so yes, with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I do hope you all stick around. And until next time, deuces.